Hi, I'm Mike Brewer of Mike Brewer Coaching, and today I want to talk about the 3 pillars of fulfillment. 3 pillars of fulfillment not only bring you lasting fulfillment, but they also help you awaken your potential. Those 3 pillars are our mission, our connections, and our wellness. And I believe when we make progress in these 3 areas, we start to see fulfillment come into play. Real fulfillment. And we start to see our potential open up and realize our limitless potential. Now, number 1, let's talk about mission. You often hear a business talk about what their mission statement is. Now, I would suggest to you that as an individual, it's just as or more important than it is for a company or business to have a mission statement. And let me tell you why. When making progress in life, focus is a very important thing. It's very easy to lose focus. It's very easy to drift. I've heard it said many times, many different ways, that if you don't know where you're going, you'll definitely get there. So when we write a mission statement, we know where we're going. We know what our purpose is, and I would encourage you to know what your mission statement is and write it down, or record it, or put it in a note in your phone, something you can refer back to regularly. Deep down, we all know what we want. Sometimes we have to write it down in order to know it. But what happens is when we write it down, when we know what our mission is, we know what our purpose is, we can refer back to it regularly. And it's okay that sometimes our mission might change a bit. My mission right now may not be the same as it is 5 years from now. It may evolve some. That's okay. But the point is knowing your mission, checking it regular, and making sure that our actions and our energy are aligned with that mission. In other words, our action and our energy, the things we do every day and our focus, align with what's most important to us. Being on mission leads directly to finding fulfillment and knowing our potential. The second piece is what I call connections, and connections are our personal relationships. Now, this one can get hairy, but I tell you, when you make progress on your relationships and you make progress with the people that are most important to you, you start to see fulfillment. I picked these 3 areas because these are the 3 key areas in my life that brought me the most fulfillment. Secondary to that was the fact that my research showed that that was a real thing. It wasn't just something I conjured up in my head, or I got lucky because I focused on 3 areas and found fulfillment and started to awaken to my potential. These are real life things that we can focus on. Now, let's focus on relationships for a second. We all have that one relationship that we need to work on. We also all have that one relationship that probably needs to end. And that's okay. But if we take the time to work on the relationships that are in front of us, to work on the relationships that are most important to us, in other words, if we take the time to care and love the people that we say we love the most, we will start to find fulfillment. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you thought about the relationship in your life that caused you the most pain? That's hard. That's hard to answer because we probably all have a relationship or had a relationship that caused us a lot of pain. If I'm being completely honest, my relationship with my dad caused me a lot of pain. And the truth is, I waited way too long to forgive my dad. I waited way too long to try to repair that relationship. And what happened was we ended up having just a few decent years together before he passed. Why? Because I chose not to forgive him and move forward in that relationship for such a long time. Had I done it earlier, there's no telling what the limits to that relationship could have been. I encourage you, not just on your negative relationships, not just on the ones that need repaired, but put your time and your energy toward those relationships that matter to you. Again, the most important things is where our time and our energy need to lie. Your loved ones, the people you care about the most, those relationships deserve your time and energy. And by putting your time and energy toward those relationships, it will help you find fulfillment. Now, the third pillar, which I absolutely love, is wellness. Now, a lot of people will instantly have objections and say, Mike, I don't want to hear about yoga. I don't want to hear about your spiritual practices. But I tell you, in finding fulfillment and awakening your potential, wellness is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. In fact, let me start with an interesting statistic that's hard to put numbers to. The most successful and fulfilled people found that their success and fulfillment increased exponentially because they chose to make working out 2 to 3 times a week a priority and a habit. Why? I'm not 100% sure, but it's real. And I can tell you from experience that's real. It happens. That's exactly how it works. So I'd encourage you through this to make exercise an important priority in your life moving forward, because the repercussions, the ripple effect that comes from it moves out to many areas of your life. Now, over time, I have to tell you that I did not believe I was capable of being healthy, exercising regularly, or making gains in my wellness. And I'm not just talking about physical wellness, I'm talking about mental and emotional wellness as well. But what I found happened was when I put the time and energy into my physical health, and I put the time and energy into my spiritual and emotional well-being, that I began to find fulfillment. I also began to realize what my potential looks like, and the fact that I really can't even see all of my potential, because every time I make gains in one of these areas, I realize that the needle is moved. Needle isn't the right word. I realize that the goalposts have moved, that the finish line has moved. And honestly, awakening to your potential means that you realize that there is no finish line, but you realize that that ceiling is raised. You don't shatter through a glass ceiling. You just realize that the ceiling didn't exist in the first place. It was just a lie you told yourself about what you were capable of. But I encourage you to make mental and emotional and spiritual and physical wellness part of your life. There's many things you can do. I choose physical activity, strength training 3 times a week, walking daily. I choose prayer. I choose breathing techniques. I choose reading. Yes, reading is good for your mental and emotional health. I choose to be outside and spend time in nature. All of those things contribute to your mental, emotional, and spiritual and physical well-being. And when you start to make progress in those areas, you start to find fulfillment. And what I found in my own life, when I started making progress in all 3 of these areas, that's when the most fulfillment started to come. That's when I started awakening to my potential. I encourage you today, know your mission. Reflect and review on your mission often. Stay on course. I encourage you today to work on those relationships that deserve your time and energy. Work on those relationships that bring you fulfillment. And I encourage you today to work on your health, work on your wellness, your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Those things, when made progress in, bring you fulfillment and help you see that your potential is limitless.